Welcome to the Fearlessly Authentic Sash and Soul podcast. In each episode, we'll explore the power of embracing authenticity with a winning mindset and overall well-being to help you navigate life and the pageant world with confidence and resilience. I'm Rayanna Johnson, former Miss Wisconsin and founder of Fearlessly Authentic Coaching. So let's dive in. Welcome to Sash and Soul. Hey, you guys, welcome back to Sash and Soul. So excited to have you back this week. It is another beautiful week outside, at least from where I'm sitting. Blue skies, birds chirping. I don't know, I just feel like I have this new energy, right? When it's like spring is in the air, daylight savings is over, the days are getting longer, and at the same time, we're ramping up for competition season. And you know that my clients have a lot of orientations going on and figuring out what their contestant numbers are and sharing their headshots with everyone in the world. And so it's just kind of like that fun, like buzzy time of year. And so speaking of competition preparation, today I thought it would be a good day to talk about a topic that sparks a whole lot of anxiety, which is contestant numbers. There is a ton of speculation about whether your placement in the competition lineup really affects your chances of winning. And I know that there are a lot out there that would probably argue until they're blue in the face that it really does matter that much. But today I want to talk about why I don't believe that that's true and give a different perspective on it. So first of all, my perspective on contestant numbers. Number one. Contestant number is completely outside of your control. And if you're familiar with the winning mindset as part of Fearlessly Authentic, focusing on the things outside of your control are going to pull you away from what you're there to be doing in the first place. So your big picture, your why, your vision, your mission, your purpose for being there. And it's going to lead you into worrying about a lot of things that don't actually matter in the outcome. So contestant number is one of those things that, because it's outside of your control, it's one of those areas then that could potentially cause some mindset glitches and cause us to kind of spiral into stress. Number two, the judges are focused on what is in front of them. And I can speak as a former judge that when I am judging a pageant competition, I'm looking at the girl right in front of me. I am already overwhelmed with this big job that I have to do. I have to look at all of these different aspects, and I only have a very, very, very short period of time in which to make a decision and put a number down on my score sheet. So I'm focused on what's right there in front of me. It doesn't matter if you were first, if you are 15th, or if you're last. Like, I am focused on the job. Number three, you can stand out anywhere. You can stand out from any contestant position wherever you are. And that all comes from your level of preparation, your confidence, your authenticity, all of those things that are actually going to put you ahead of the game. So let's dive into this though, because I know that even though I give you my perspective and we're going to go through these myths and try and bust them for you, you are still going to have your anxiety about this because let's face it, like it's just something that's constantly talked about every single year without fail. We are talking about contestant numbers. And a lot of that is because you either pick at random when you're at orientation, or it's picked for you, or there's some kind of a lottery, or there's, you have an opportunity to pick sooner than other people because you sold a certain number of ads. So there's like all this big pressure on figuring out, where you want to be in the lineup. And then with that is also going to come comparison to the other girls too, right? Like, do you want to be in front of or behind somebody else based on their talent or their skills or where they've placed in the past? Like, all of these things are going to start creating all this noise in your head that will pull you away from what actually matters. So I really first just want to acknowledge that there are a ton of emotions around contestant placement. So whether that is going ahead or going after someone who you're intimidated by, or has a similar talent to yours, or if like being first in an interview puts you in this weird anxiety place of not knowing what to expect, or that you're just afraid of getting lost in the shuffle. I mean, all of these are very valid, real anxieties and fears, but they're also limiting beliefs. So what we need to shift into understanding is that performance determines your success. And that is going to come with a whole nother level of anxieties, but at least you have more control in that space. And you have more control on providing your clarity on your mission and vision. So let's dive into some of these myths that we need to debunk. Myth number 1, the first contestant never wins. All right. Many of you believe that if you're the first contestant, you're at a disadvantage because judges aren't quote unquote warmed up yet. However, judges in most cases are prepared and trained by a judge's chair to score fairly throughout the competition. So what that means is we will sit through an orientation to go over the rules and the job expectations of the title holder and get trained on exactly how we should be scoring consistently from one contestant to the next. And that is something that most judges go through so that they feel as prepared as possible for the competition and to do their job well. Next, in many cases, the judges are going to do a warm-up interview with the outgoing title holder. So the first contestant is not their first interview. And therefore, their first impression is outstanding no matter who the first contestant is, because their first impression was from the outgoing title holder that has just spent an entire year doing this job and probably prepped for the next level of competition as well. So they've had a lot of extra time to prepare, and they don't have the added nerves or the pressure of doing the warm-up interview. But the point is, the judges have this opportunity to actually practice asking questions and get the feel for each other in that room and get a flow down. Next, judges are human beings. I cannot instill this in you enough. Judges are human. They are usually volunteering their time. They have a great respect for pageantry and the industry. They value the empowerment that the industry provides to you as a contestant, and they really want you to succeed. Because honestly, it's uncomfortable when we see somebody else that's uncomfortable. So when I say that judges are human beings, remember that they have human feelings and human experiences. And so they're looking at you in many ways with a lot of empathy and just cheering you on from the inside. So they take their role seriously. So in other words, assume that they have good intentions. They're not there to trip you up. They're not there to judge unfairly or have their own personal preferences that they're going to put over what they were taught in the judge's orientation. There's so much more that goes into this. So assume good intentions from every person that's sitting in front of you, asking you questions in that interview room or viewing you from off the stage. If anything, being the first contestant is going to allow you to set the standard and leave a lasting impression. So if you execute with confidence and with presence, you have nothing to worry about. But the reality is, every one of you should be executing with confidence and presence no matter what contestant number you are. All right, so I actually have a really good lived experience example of being contestant number 1. I was contestant number 1 when I went to Miss America. I remember I was sitting during the lottery and I was second to last to choose my contestant number. And there were only 2 numbers left. There was contestant number 1 and contestant number 2. And I opted to go for contestant number 1 for a couple of reasons. First, because I just figured, why not? That's a memorable number. I had all the myths in my head as well. Somehow that was going to help me stand out. I also knew that Laura Kepler was contestant number 1 when she won Miss America in 2012. She also won talent as contestant number 1. So it was kind of I was in this weird space of busting my own myth in my head while also just trying to lean into it. And so I was contestant number 1 at Miss America, but you guys, I was going in already anxiety filled because, 2 years ago, Miss Wisconsin had won Miss America, and that was still just kind of in my head because I was her first runner up at Miss Wisconsin. And so just a whole mess of limiting beliefs and mindset glitches were going on. And I had a really rough interview. But it wasn't because I was the first contestant. It was because I was so in my head about being first, and I didn't do what I needed to do to be warmed up. So I have to take ownership of that. It wasn't about the judging panel. It wasn't about me being contestant number one. It was because I was struggling with my own mindset glitches and that I didn't do the things that I typically did to prepare for my competition interview, namely being really warmed up and getting out of my head. All right, myth number 2. The last contestant has an unfair advantage. All right, the idea here is that the judges are going to remember the last contestant more clearly, which gives the last contestant an edge. So recency bias does exist in some scenarios, but judges are going to be taking notes and they're going to be evaluating contestants based on the criteria they were given, not just based on their memory. So in a similar way to the judges not being warmed up at the start of the day, judges can also be wiped out at the end of the day as well. It is exhausting, you guys. Like, I know the energy that it takes to put all of your heart and soul out there for that, 3, 5, 10-minute interview. But imagine sitting through multiple of those interviews while having to be really present by, having to analyze everyone in front of you, by having to listen very clearly to understand what's being said, to be able to also ask follow-up questions and new questions that are really going to get at who this person is and who they would be as the title holder. Like, that takes a lot of energy. It's so fun, but it's a lot. So by the end of the interviews, you might be exhausted as a judge, right? So no matter where you stand in the lineup, the judges are going to be trying to be as consistent as they possibly can, and your job is going to be the same. Walk into interview exemplifying who you would be as the title holder. Focus on yourself. Focus on the value that you bring to the position. Be warm and be inviting. Have a genuine conversation with the judges. Be the person that comes in and rejuvenates them because it is a long day. Go be in there, as the first contestant and get them excited for the rest of the day. Go in as the middle contestant and remind them how awesome this whole experience is and get them rejuvenated again. And then be the last contestant and get them so excited for the rest of the show. Your job in that interview room is very much to do the job of a title holder, which is to make people feel special and share your heart and soul and make a difference. It starts right there in that interview room. It doesn't start when you get the crown on your head. That is a part of what it means to be authentic and genuine and exemplify who you are. Who you are doesn't change when you get that crown on your head. Also, you could argue that the last contestant faces the challenge of being really impressive. So that's just added pressure. It's better to show up and show out no matter where you're at because you can't control what the other contestants think, do, or say. You certainly cannot wish them away, and nor would you wish them ill will. So no matter where you are in comparison to any other contestant, your job is the same. Show up and show out. Focus on yourself. It is the only thing that you can do. The third and final myth of today is that the middle contestants get overlooked. I know some of the anxiety here is that if you're in the middle, you're going to blend in. But as I've already clearly established, it's not about where you fall in the lineup, it is how you present yourself. The judges aren't checking contestant numbers before they're scoring. That is absolutely true. I mean, even as a judge, I can't even keep track of how many interviews I've done, much less have time to figure out how many more we have to do because it's just back to back to back, and I have to stay on top of it. Judges are looking at poise, they're looking at confidence, they're looking at communication, and they're looking at authenticity. So for me, every time a new contestant walks into the interview room or is introduced on stage, I am zeroed in on that person. I focus on the judging criteria that I was instructed to focus on. I consider what the judge's chair or the director told us that they need in a title holder based on the job description. I am analyzing the unique performance right in front of me, and I look for confidence, authenticity, and warmth. I'm also looking to see if I can picture that person doing the job for 365 days. That's me as a judge. Everyone else has their own different approach, but I can assure you that it is all centered in pure, positive, good intentions. As judges, we know that every single one of you is worthy. We know you're valuable. We know you're capable. We know that you are unique. But we have a job to do. We have to find the one that we think will best represent the organization for an entire year and is ready to potentially compete at the next level. So we're not overlooking anyone, no matter where they fall in the lineup. But we are going to remember those that are standing out because of their energy, their confidence, and their clarity in their unique vision and mission. So what really matters, you guys? Instead of focusing on a number, focus on these key factors: confidence, authenticity, preparation, and connection. Judges are drawn to contestants who own the stage and believe in themselves. This is not something that you can fake. You can't fake confidence. I know that there's that old saying of like, fake it till you make it, and there's some truth in that, but genuine, real confidence stems from you working on your mindset, understanding your sense of self, and owning everything that makes you who you are. You have to practice letting go of the fear of what other people think to really get at the core of what it feels like to be confident. As far as authenticity goes, you do not need to be the perfect contestant because, spoiler, it doesn't exist. You have to be you. Last week, I talked about worthiness, and I talked about what authenticity really is. Authenticity is about your expression of who you are. It's not about anyone else's perception of who you are. It's not about how others receive you, but about the fact that you are showing up as yourself unapologetically. What is your pure and positive intention? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you honoring your own truth? Are you showing up in a way that reflects who you really are? In order to answer these questions, you have to know who you are. That's why consistent and long-term mindset work and self-development are essential. Let me repeat that. Consistent, long-term mindset work and self-development. This is not something that you can just cram for right before a competition. That is why mindset work is one of the pillars of the work that I do with my clients, because it is something that you have to consistently work on. Preparation. Often I'm hearing that there's, this fear of not doing enough. Very, very real, very valid fear. So if you are experiencing that fear that you're not prepared enough or not preparing enough, recognize where your prep is lacking and get real about it, right? Like, what is accurate here? Is it accurate that you're not spending enough time on it? Is it accurate that you are spending the amount of time that you have to spend on it because you've got other things in life going on? Is it accurate that you're focusing on the priorities in your life right now and that's okay? And then also, is it accurate that you can find ways that you are preparing in unconventional, non-traditional ways for the role of the title holder? Next, get organized and make the most of the time that you are allotting to prepare. Life is happening. We are all busy, high functioning and driven people competing in pageants. That's kind of what makes us the epitome, is because we are so driven and we are so focused on our personal success and our ambitions and our drive to make a difference and do all the things. So get organized while you're doing all the things and make the most of the time that you are preparing. And if you are really stuck in between these things where you don't know where your prep is lacking, or if you're struggling to get organized, or if you don't even know if you're not preparing, maybe you are preparing more than enough, sometimes you need to get help from someone from the outside perspective, someone who's been there when you're feeling lost or stuck. Someone from that outside perspective can help you see that you are doing more than enough. In fact, maybe you're doing too much, or you're doing too much in this area and not enough in that area. It's okay to have someone help you analyze that. Usually someone that isn't also competing because they're in the throes of it with you. It's better to go to somebody that has competed before and understands what it's all about to get their take on your prep. So whether that's a director, a board member, a volunteer, a former title holder that is mentoring you and helping you out, or a coach, there are many different resources to help you figure out what your preparation is looking like and where it needs to be. Finally, whether it's in interview or on stage, connecting with the judges and the audience is a game changer, 150%. Open up, get out of your own head, and be present. When you do that, you can build a genuine relationship with the judges by showing them who you are. Do not tell them who you are. I mean, there are ways that you will tell them who you are, but what is more powerful is showing them in the way that you show up, in your energy, in the stories that you tell. That's going to help them see your character and your personality more so than telling them. You could tell them that you are responsible. You could tell them that you're respectful. You could tell them that you're driven. Of course you can, but the judges are going to remember how you made them feel. So if you can give them that energy through the stories that you share and the examples that you share with them, that's going to go so much further in building that relationship and letting them in to see exactly who you are. So finally, as we're wrapping all of this together, there are many aspects of the winning mindset that we talk about in Fearlessly Authentic, but some that really bode into helping you overcome this fear of or the myths and the limiting beliefs around contestant numbers is focusing on what you can control, practicing some visualization and accurate affirmations, some supportive self-talk, and distract yourself. So remember that the number is out of your hands, but your preparation, your energy, and your confidence is within your control. So focus on that. Visualizing your success, practicing affirmations that actually help you feel empowered and feel good, and practicing that supportive self-talk will help you stay grounded and steer away from those limiting beliefs. And when all else fails, and I do this a lot with myself, distract, distract, distract. Throw on some loud music, pull out a coloring book and an audiobook, like anything that will get you out of your own thoughts. So we're wrapping up today. Please remember, we are never guaranteed a crowning moment. But that's nothing to do with your contestant number. At the end of the day, your contestant number is just logistics. What actually defines your success isn't where you are in the lineup, it's how you show up. These myths are nothing but limiting beliefs, so focus on what's accurate, and when you show up and show out prepared, confident, and authentic, the results will reflect that. With that, my friends, I will let you go for now. Take care of yourselves, keep all of these concepts in mind, work to let go of those limiting beliefs, focus on what you can control, and enjoy the journey. Pageants are meant to be fun, so focus on all the reasons that you got started in it in the first place. And I will talk to you again next week. Bye. Have you downloaded the Fearlessly Authentic app? Because I'm so excited to share this all-in-one space for competition prep designed just for you. Within the app, you'll find free resources like the Winning Mindset Workshop, goal tracking, and a supportive community. Plus, sign up for a 7-day free trial of the all-access membership to explore additional resources like live coaching clips, monthly live workshops, guided meditations, daily practice interview questions, and so much more. Click the link to download for free. This is not just an app, it is pageant prep support at your fingertips.